Top of the hour to you, and let's get this amazing Tuesday rolling right here on AMHQ with us. Okay, let's go. Check out Philly. Good morning, Philly. We've got some rain coming down this morning. We're going to expect about a half-inch of rain. And into the Northeast, we've got several days of opportunity for rain. The big story here is we're watching some potential for some severe weather. And get this, 25 states, half the country, will see some sort of severe weather this week. We've got days of it coming up. Whether it's rain, hail, thunderstorms, or even a tornado, you won't be caught by surprise. And speaking of thunderstorms, you gotta see this video. It's a massive storm off Australia's northern coast. We're gonna get you so close into this storm, you're gonna feel like you just moved to Australia. It is video, Jim, I could watch on a loop all day long. I could put it on the wall at home.
That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I'm watching on the monitor here overhead, lightning.
Look at that. Look at the big strikes coming right out of the top.
That's the maturing stage of the thunderstorm. See the anvil fanning out. Here goes the anvil. Then watch on the lower part of the screen as the storm starts to collapse. You have the gusting out phase, and there's your shelf cloud.
Look at that, right there, right there.
There's your shelf cloud right there coming out. See that? Ooh. You're right, Sam. We could just have a party, get a six-pack, and sit there and watch this thing the whole day.
Watch it all day.
I'm with you, brother. All right, let's check it out here. Storms here to the west of St. Louis. We've been watching these babies produce hail all morning. Some of this has been golf ball size, maybe even a little bit larger than that. Just got a report of golf ball size 2 miles to the south of Warrenton. So that is why you've seen the severe thunderstorm warning issued now into Franklin, St. Charles, and Warren counties. So you've seen it extended toward the east, not surprising. Again, we take a look at the high-resolution radar here. It looks like one big, long area of hail, and within that there are certain hail cores, but I want to show you something really cool. We'll take that away for a second and tilt this thing in the vertical a little bit, because where this storm is right now, it's right there at the radar. So here's the radar site right here. And if you've got a radar beam that's looking out like this, it's actually looking underneath the storm. So you're missing all this data here. So you can't really see what's going on in this part of the storm. But you can still see the hail core, which is showing up very, very well with this. Also notice the anvil from that storm has gone beyond what we call the cone of silence. So it's already, the anvil from this storm, like you saw in that video, is already to the east of that. So wow. Cool stuff from the high-resolution radar this morning. All right, so we told you about the little lull in the hail. Now it's popped up again to the south of Warrenton, and that's why I'm going to stick with this hail threat for St. Louis, and we're going to have Brandon time it out for you. St. Louis, 932, Chesterfield, about 852. That's right where the radome is, by the way, Chesterfield. That's where you saw the radar cone of silence that I showed you. So we're watching this area work its way to the east. We may need to take a look at this in terms of if that threat goes east of St. Louis today. And then off toward the west, we'll watch the dry line. Will we get enough energy here to break the cap? Well, if you're a weather geek, the place that you want to hang out at least one part of your life would be the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Well, Mike's at the National Weather Center, where they combine academia, National Weather Service. I mean, Bettis, how cool is it especially if you're a kid, to be able to walk around and you see a guy and you're like, you know what? I just read a textbook from that guy. I just had a lesson from that guy who wrote this textbook. That's what it's like being there, isn't it?
It totally is. I mean, this is the mecca of severe weather. No one does it better than they do right here at the National Weather Center. Truly in the world. This is home to University of Oklahoma Meteorology Department, NOAA Storm Prediction Center, National Severe Storms Laboratory, and they're on the cutting edge of severe weather science here. And joining us this morning is the Deputy Director of the National Severe Storms Laboratory, Lance Rothfuss. Lance, when we talk about, disseminating the message, warning people and the general public about severe weather, that happens here at the Storm Prediction Center. They issue the watches and warnings. Local offices, or the watches, local offices issue the warnings. But you're working on a new project. Tell us about FACETS.
Well, FACETS is a modernization of how the National Weather Service might do warnings in the future. Right now, when the warnings get issued, they're for a large area, and we call it binary. You're either in a warning or you're not. And with the advances that NOAA has made in the technology of radar and satellites and models, we're able now to get down to very precise areas. And wouldn't it be nice to be able to issue information at every half mile, updated every 2 minutes, not just on or off, but your risk is increasing or decreasing.
The warning system has changed a little bit over time. We were county-based warnings, then we went to the polygons, and now we're going to go a little step further than that, a little bit more specific even?
Yeah, well, if you really take a look at what underlies the warnings, how the Weather Service does it now, we haven't changed since the teletype era. We've made some modifications.
Which seems
yes.
archaic, right? Like,
Yes.
the science has advanced so much since then.
The science has advanced, the communications advanced, we've become more sophisticated as a society, so it's time to modernize how we do our warnings and such, and there are ways in which to do that, to take that information down to a precise local level and actually give information that updates very rapidly. And that's what Facets is all
In
about.
as much as 2 minutes. That would be awesome stuff. Lance, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
My
Can you
pleasure.
imagine, Jim, just how specific you could be with these warnings, right down to a neighborhood level potentially? That would be just mind-blowing, but it may happen truly within the next couple of years.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, to actually have your phone tell you where you are in relation to the TVS, which is what you saw that streak is. I mean, it wouldn't surprise you, would it, Mike?
Yeah. No, I don't. I think the technology is basically there. They're just going through a testing phase right now to see, what it's there. The technology is there, but how do we implement it and how do we disseminate it to the public so they understand it, they get the warning, and they're safe?
All right, great stuff from Mike Bettis at the National Weather Center, the Storm Prediction Center, the National Weather Service, and of course OU as well. Let's talk about what we got going on in the Sierra, because all that energy that is going to come produce our severe weather event in the plains has got to start somewhere, and it's going to come through California before it makes its way to the plains. Let's talk to Tom and Sam in the lab.
All right, and we're looking at Niz, and we were looking at Lance, and you were saying that he was here at Peachtree with the Weather Service as well.
He was in charge of the office here a few years ago.
All right, let's get all these guys know each other. All right, let's get into the mountains. We'll start first around Colorado and find out what their snowpack is.
Yeah, and again, we were talking technologies. This is great technology. A MODIS satellite image. You can actually see the snow-capped mountains here. About 50 to 70% of the snowpack they've had there for the year. But out in the Sierra, Sam, I mean, they were down to single percentages, about 8 to 9% of what they normally would see in the snowpack.
This isn't going to lift it too much, but it is going to be a little helpful.
Yeah, I call it a late deposit in the savings bank.
Perfect.
The snow. Cold core low here. There's enough cold air in this not only to produce some thunderstorms and maybe a little hail at lower elevations, but the snow at higher elevations. And we're now seeing that we're starting to get the snow come into the higher elevations of the Sierra.
Okay, this is also good too. This is a nice heavy dose of rain that we're moving through San Francisco into the Bay Area.
That is
as well.
excellent. Anything we can get in there now is going to help. As we look at our model here, what's going to happen as we go through the daytime here, you see the snow across the crest of the Sierra, and that'll continue through this evening. Then this system is going to move out. Before it ends, Sam, we're going to have a good 12 to 24 inches at the highest elevations here, and that is going to be good news for everyone.
Fantastic. As you said, it's just a late season deposit. Jen?
All right, thank you, Sam. Well, 6 months on a boat on a deep sea mission. Can you imagine that? Well, we're going to talk to one of the crew members from the Nautilus about exploring the remote depths of the ocean, plus some fog setting up in Atlanta causing delays out of Hartsfield. We'll be right back and talk more about the severe weather threat. And welcome back to AMHQ right now, 10 minutes past the hour. Look at this. This is fog in Atlanta. Maybe you're at the airport at Hartsfield. Well, guess what? We have some delays there. Already 30 minutes due to low ceiling visibility right around a quarter of a mile. Very soupy out there. That's our view from the Coca-Cola headquarters. So let's talk about what's going on across parts of the southeast. Not a lot of sunshine that's going to be popping up there. We're going to be looking at increasing humidity as well as storms. We have them right now on the radar. You can see just to the east of Nashville. Look at this line right here. Say if you're in Knoxville, Asheville, or even into Charlotte, this is going to be moving in your direction. Lighting has been really incredible out there this morning across parts of Kentucky, as well as Missouri, as well as into parts of Indiana. We watch this and we want to show you what's going on. We're timing this out for you. What happens? 10 o'clock, models already really verifying, but as we go into the afternoon, right around 5 o'clock, Charlotte, you're going to start to see some of these storms working in your direction. Winds right now coming in from the east, but as we stop this right around 5 o'clock, notice that those winds are going to be shifting out of the west, and then we're going to start to see the sea breeze line of storms just setting up right across parts of Florida on the western side. Wondering why on the western side? Well, because the winds coming off the Atlantic, they're much stronger there. So this is 9 o'clock tonight. Those storms will continue to fizzle out as we push this ahead very quickly, and we show you the forecast. Rain around for tomorrow, but it's going to be less in coverage and then increases as we go through the next couple of days, and then we'll be picking up, of course, that severe weather threat for tomorrow across parts of the midsection of the country.
Yeah, it was really cool when you showed the winds kind of meeting in Central Florida. They looked like pinball flippers that kind of like got together right there in the middle.
Good description.
That's your connection. Nautical mission, well, let's just say ocean mission, to learn more about our oceans. It's It's going to take 6 months, and we love being along this trip. We were with them last year. We're with them again. It's a fascinating exploration. We're talking about the Nautilus, and Rick Adams is going to be there to talk a little bit more about it with Bob Ballard this morning in Gulfport, Mississippi. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning to you, Sam. Yeah, we're here dockside. The weather here is absolutely perfect conditions here. They're going to be setting off very soon. With us, we have a legend in the business, Will Sellers. You are an ROV pilot. What is that?
A remotely operated vehicle, such as Hercules here.
And this is a beautiful machine, 5,400 pounds worth of technology here. Before we get to this, you are a legend because you visited the wreck of the Titanic. In what form? As a pilot, right?
As a pilot of Alvin, Woods Hole's 3-man submarine.
And what was it like just witnessing that?
It was quite an awesome moment. Not many people have been down there to see that.
But you were concentrating on something else, right, at that time?
Just keeping us out of trouble.
Keeping people alive down there. Okay, so this ROV is going to go out into the Gulf on lots of different missions. Just talk us through very briefly. We've only got a short period of time to tell us what's the most. This arm here is pretty exciting, isn't it? You can do amazing things with this.
Yes, the craft manipulator. It's a in techno speak, it's a 7-function, spatially correspondent force feedback manipulator. In layman's terms, it'll do whatever my arm will do.
And
it'll
including,
correspond to all of the movements.
You can actually tie a shoelace.
Yes, well, you need two to do that.
Okay, fantastic. A high-definition camera here, which is great. We're going to be able to sing Nautilus Live, which is fantastic. And a final piece of technical equipment down here. What's this?
Oh, my coffee cup.
Oh, the coffee cup. That's very important. Very, very important stuff. Peter, thank you very much. Will, thank you very much indeed. Nice to see you. Back to you, Sam.
And finally, a very important piece of equipment. What's that? He points to, and it is the coffee cup. But you're totally right, Rick. It's very important. Can't get into the sea without it. Can't get into the show without it. All right, A-Rod, what have we got? Pictures
We've got
coming in.
severe thunderstorms west of St. Louis this morning, waking up a lot of people really early. Take a look at this picture coming from east of Columbia of golf ball size hail in the area.
That's a wake up.
This is what Jim's been talking about all morning. So a lot
Holy
of people
hail. I love
Holy
that.
hail, yeah. Our next picture coming out of Maine. They saw, our tidbit told us, anywhere from 1 to 5 inches yesterday. This was a little coating there. A lot of people sending us pictures of frowning faces on the snow.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
their cars. They're definitely wondering if it's April. Keep sending us those pictures. #MyWeather. And look at orbit from Astro Terry.
Beautiful. 19 minutes after the hour. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning, and hello to you, St. Louis. Where is the arch? Well, the arch right now, just basically just surrounded by fog.
You can see one leg of it. You can see one leg of it right beside the dome.
The other one is missing. Now, the arch is roughly 630 feet. Growing up in St. Louis, you know this. You go on these tours.
You memorize it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then everybody who comes in town, they want to go to the arch. So you're saying you roughly see half of the arch. So we're seeing the low ceilings right around 300 feet.
Yeah, this is a great time to point out, look, when we say visibility, we're talking about how far in a straight line. No, stay on this picture. When you talk about visibility, how far in a straight line you can see. Visibility is about 1.5 miles. When we talk about ceilings, it's if you look up how low the cloud deck or the fog is. And so that's at about 300 feet. And the reason that we know is that we know it's only seen about half of the arch there. So just to kind of line out what the difference in those terms are.
Yeah, and we see that, and we've got storms just off to the west. They're going to be moving into St. Louis in roughly about the next 30 minutes. Now, let's show you what's happening on the radar. Temperatures are actually warming up, and all those storms you've been seeing firing up really all along the warm front. As we look at Louisville, and we show you, look at this, just moving to the northwest of you, you don't need any more rain. This whole area has been saturated, picking up 18 inches this year for Louisville. Well, the bulk of that's going to be moving to the north of you. Lightning has been an incredible display out there. We're talking at times from 600 to 1,000 strokes. Now we look at the flooding problem here. We do have the flash flood warnings in effect until 10:30. Some parts of the roadways right along 375, correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine, actually been inundated with water, flooding there. And then we go up towards north. Look at that. We have some snow out there coming down pretty good across parts of North Dakota. Well, this is what's happening. We have the front. Can you pick it out where the warm air is and the cooler air to the north? So as we go throughout the afternoon, afternoon, we're going to continue to see those storms firing up. And then notice as we look for areas to the north, you're going to be below average, but your numbers to the south fueling the severe weather threat and getting all those dew points higher up. We're looking at numbers today, 80 degrees for St. Louis, and already dew points are in the 60. Very, very warm out there. And right now, we're going to break it down a little bit more with Jim Cantore. And this has been really impressive this morning, right, Jim?
It has. As a matter of fact, just reading about St. Louis going into a possible severe weather watch. 60% probability of that watch coming up here for severe hail. So golf ball hail possibly for the city of St. Louis on the way. And here's why. Look at this big thunderstorm. This has been one main supercell here we've been watching kind of lead the way coming from central Missouri southeast. You can even see the overshooting top. So the updraft is so strong it's punching through the top of the thunderstorm. And that usually tells you you got some pretty big hail when you're getting up around 45, 50,000 feet. Franklin, St. Charles, Warren County, again watching two hail cores working their way on off to the south and east. Both of them will make their way again into the metro area here, we think, within the next hour and a half or so. So notice how our one area has become two distinct areas now. We just got golf ball hail south of Warrenton measured there. If you're in St. Louis City, 9:36 a.m. is what we're timing out for you local time, 10 a.m. Central Time in Collinsville. So be on the lookout. Again, don't be surprised if you're soon to be in a weather watch. I want to highlight the two big days of Wednesday and Thursday, and I only have a minute here, but I want to show you the best instability on top of the best shear. In other words, the best fuel on top of the best turning, and that's what this is right in through here. So here's the highest available energy. Let's go ahead and overlay on top of that the best shear in from 0 to 30,000 feet, and look at where that is. Right there where Forbes has got his high torque on west of Kansas City tomorrow, right? So not surprisingly, we do see that torque on in eastern Kansas and western Missouri, and then we'll see storms fire along the dry line down through western Kansas and Oklahoma. Thursday, look at how much larger that area is. So I've taken about a 12-hour period of what we call most unstable Cape and 6 kilometer bulk shear and overlaid the two features here. And look at this area, including Chicago, Madison, Wisconsin as well. And torcons at this point are 4. They can go up. Don't be surprised if they do. Northern Illinois and Indiana. And then, Sam, as we get into Friday, you can see this area. But notice how those areas of high energy and shear are decoupled. So not a huge tornado risk as we get in toward Friday. We have a chance, certainly, of hail and high wind once this stuff gets to the East Coast. All right, stick around, guys. Much more to come. We will highlight the storms. See you in just a moment.
Now, the arch is roughly 630 feet. Growing up in St. Louis, you know this, you go on these tours.
You memorize it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then everybody who comes in town, they want to go to the arch. So you're saying you roughly see half of the arch. So we're seeing the low ceilings right around 300 feet.
Yeah, this is a great time to point out, look, when we say visibility, we're talking about how far in a straight line. No, stay on this picture. When you talk about visibility, how far in a straight line you can see. Visibility is about 1.5 miles. When we talk about ceilings, it's if you look up how low the cloud deck or the fog is. And so that's at about 300 feet, and the reason that we know is that we know it's only seen about half of the arch there. So just to kind of line out what the difference in those terms are.
Yeah, you know, and we see that, and we've got storms just off to the west. They're going to be moving into St. Louis in roughly about the next 30 minutes. Now, let's show you what's happening on the radar. Temperatures are actually warming up, and all those storms you've been seeing firing up really all along the warm front. As we look at Louisville, and we show you, look at this, just moving to the northwest of you, you don't need any more rain. This whole area has been saturated, picking up 18 inches this year for Louisville. Well, the bulk of that's going to be moving to the north of you. Lightning has been an incredible display out there. We're talking at times from 600 to 1,000 strokes. Now we look at the flooding problem here. We do have the flash flood warnings in effect until 10:30. Some parts of the roadways right along 375, correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine, actually been inundated with water, flooding there. And then we go up towards north. Look at that. We have some snow out there coming down pretty good across parts of North Dakota. Well, this is what's happening. We have the front. Can you pick it out where the warm air is and the cooler air to the north? So as we go throughout the afternoon, we're going to continue to see those storms firing up. And then notice as we look for areas to the north, you're going to be below average, but your numbers to the south fueling the severe weather threat and getting all those dew points higher up. We're looking at numbers today, 80 degrees for St. Louis, and already dew points are in the 60. Very, very warm out there. And right now we're going to break it down a little bit more with Jim Cantore. And this has been really impressive this morning, right, Jim?
It has. As a matter of fact, just reading about St. Louis going into a possible severe weather watch. 60% probability of that watch coming up here for severe hail. So golf ball hail possibly for the city of St. Louis on the way. And here's why. Look at this big thunderstorm. This has been one main supercell here we've been watching kind of lead the way coming from central Missouri southeast. You can even see the overshooting top. So the updraft is so strong, it's punching through the top of the thunderstorm. And that usually tells you you got some pretty big hail when you're getting up around 45, 50,000 feet. Franklin, St. Charles, Warren County, again, watching 2 hail cores working their way on off to the south and east. Both of them will make their way again into the metro area here, we think, within the next hour and a half or so. So notice how our one area has become two distinct areas now. We just got golf ball hail south of Warrenton measured there. If you're in St. Louis City, 9:36 a.m. is what we're timing out for you local time, 10 a.m. Central Time in Collinsville. So be on the lookout. Again, don't be surprised if you're soon to be in a weather watch. I want to highlight the 2 big days of Wednesday and Thursday, and I only have a minute here, but I want to show you the best instability on top of the best shear. In other words, the best fuel on top of the best turning, and that's what this is right in through here. So here's the highest available energy. Let's go ahead and overlay on top of that the best shear in from 0 to 30,000 feet, and look at where that is. Right there where Forbes has got his high torque on west of Kansas City tomorrow, right? So not surprisingly, we do see that torque on in eastern Kansas and western Missouri, and then we'll see storms fire along the dry line down through western Kansas and Oklahoma. Thursday, look at how much larger that area is. So I've taken about a 12-hour period of what we call most unstable cape and 0 kilometer, 6 kilometer bulk shear, and overlaid the 2 features here. And look at this area, including Chicago, Madison, Wisconsin as well. And torcons at this point are 4. They can go up. Don't be surprised if they do. Northern Illinois and Indiana. And then, Sam, as we get into Friday, you can see this area. But notice how those areas of high energy and shear are decoupled. So not a huge tornado risk as we get in toward Friday. We have a chance, certainly, of hail and high wind once this stuff gets to the East Coast. All right, stick around, guys. Much more to come. We will highlight the storms. St. Louis in just a moment.
And welcome back to AMHQ, 29 minutes past the hour. I'm Jen Delgado.
Hi, I'm Sam.
I'm Jim.
Good. Handoff was done. Hey, we've got a picture out of Atlanta this morning. Fog was pretty heavy. They extended the dense fog advisory into the Atlanta area this morning.
On top of the Coca-Cola headquarters. What are the, Catherine, what are the delays? 30 minutes coming into
30 minutes at Hartsville.
30 minutes. So, yeah, not surprising with that kind of fog. I'd like to land an aircraft with 300 passengers into that.
No,
thanks.
Yeah. Okay, Chicagoland, let's say good morning to you. And we have kind of 41 degrees. It's not bad.
No.
I know we've got some storms, and Chicago's in play for some storms later on today.
Thursday, yeah.
And Thursday, we're going to be talking about it as well. Illinois has been kind of rumbly this morning, a good part of Indiana as well. Ohio's been rumbling.
Missouri,
45 degrees is where we're going for Chicagoland today. Hey, do you want a little breakfast? And maybe you want a little something sweet for breakfast?
If I say no, are you going to stop?
No, I'm going to say it anyway. I'm going to say it anyway because I do. So maybe I was just asking you, but I do.
I know.
Something sweet donuts on Fullerton Avenue. The lemon cake donut is totally worth the extra calories.
You see Tammy?
Tammy is so excited.
She had to jiggle on that one.
Tammy, what was that about? Lemon cake donut?
She loves
We should have a camera on Tammy.
Yeah, we should. All the time, by the way.
Yeah,
all the time.
Good reaction.
The best moves and coffee around.
Good tunes.
Yeah.
Don't forget about
Yeah.
She's our DJ.
Hey, Mike, let's get out to Mike this morning. We were all talking about what kind of world we could step into in just the next few years. And Mike Bettis is now out at the SBC. Mike, are you there or at OU this morning?
Yeah, we're here at the National Weather Center here in Norman, Oklahoma, Sam, and I got to tell you, it's the whole kit and caboodle, and the cutting-edge technology they have here when it comes to weather science is truly phenomenal. It's head and shoulders above anything you've ever seen. I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman this morning who runs the drone program, Phil Chilson. Okay, Phil, this is cool. I mean, you've got this plane. Tell us about it and what it does.
Well, this is a small UAS. We call them UASs instead of drones because of the how the public perceives that.
Implications, maybe. Yeah, I gotcha.
But this is a fully instrumented, decked out aircraft for doing weather research. We measure the pressure, the temperature, the humidity. We can get the horizontal wind speed. We can get measures of the heat fluxes. And so this is a way of getting at the atmosphere in a region of the atmosphere which is typically difficult to access.
This, in essence, can supplement what the weather balloons are already doing. It's going to measure the same things, but in a very fine detail in a small area.
Small area. higher spatial resolution, and very controlled, because this has an autopilot built into the aircraft, and so we can tell it where to fly and how to fly, as opposed to releasing a balloon and just having it go according to the whims of the atmosphere.
And it takes a team of 6 to operate this?
According to the FAA regulations, we need 6 people to operate this this small aircraft.
Unbelievable. And Sam and gang, we'd love to fly this for you this morning, but oh, that FAA.
No.
We can't fly it this morning, can we?
Not this morning.
Buzzkill FAA. There's always regulations, Phil, right?
Yeah, always.
You said science is way ahead of regulations too. We could have so much better, so much more information if we didn't have those regulations.
If I were to tell you honestly, this has not been 100% proven as a technology that can improve the weather, but not because of the technology is lacking, but because of the regulations not being allowed us to fly. But although I can't say it definitively, my feeling is that this is the future. This is a game.
It is.
This is a game changer.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Guys, take the cuffs off.
Yep,
take the cuffs off the UAS. Let's fly these things and get the information, right?
Here's the deal, though.
I agree. Totally agree.
When we have a disaster where we can't get into, I want to see what's going on in there. I want to see if there's lives. That people that we need to get out. I mean, we need that technology.
Here's an opportunity, really and truly, from the deep in our hearts, and this is what we do. The FAA needs to unblock some of this, some of these regulations, because when we're working on science, when we're trying to save lives, we need a special category of restrictions. We need them to unlock some of the ways so we can test things like this. There's no reason for the technology to be capable to save lives, and we can't test it because of regulations.
They should be able to get some kind of special clause that says, hey,
exactly.
You guys take a month, go out and fly these things into tornadoes. Let me see the data you got, and I'll revisit it.
Exactly.
All right?
Exactly.
I mean, give me
so
a
come
chance.
on, FAA, give us a little, Jim.
A little love.
It could be definitely worth it. All right. Well, let's look across parts of the Northeast, and we've got really 2 different weather patterns that we have set up. We have some areas going to be warm, and some areas going to be cold, as we're showing the radar. Look at the rain that's moving through. We also have a little bit of light snow up towards the north. So temperatures right now in the 40s and the 50s, not so bad out there. Problem is, you're just not going to warm up a lot today. As we look across areas, including Nantucket, as well as into New York, Philadelphia, really just looking at that very light, spritzy type of rain around, keeping the clouds locked in. We've got this flow coming in from the northeast, courtesy of a big ridge of high pressure to the north. What we're going to be looking at is really just periods of rain around. But notice your temperatures are going to be basically stuck in the 50s. If you want some warmer air, you need to go down south across parts of Interstate 95. You're going to warm up as you move into D.C. As I said to you, here's the reason why. We have that cool northeast wind. And look, you can also see right along the mountains some of that cold air damming there, warmer air towards the west. As we look ahead through the rest of the week, we're going to continue to see disturbance just kind of riding along the front. And the front's going to be kind of just doing an up and down pattern one day. Today, you're going to be warm across D.C. And then tomorrow, we'll say hello to the 50s again with rain around in the morning. And then Thursday, 59 degrees. So expect to see the rain showers around off and on, different periods of intensity as we go through the end of the week. So D.C., there's your forecast. But at least you can enjoy the warmer temperatures for today across there.
All right, Jennifer, weather to get you out the door, and now news to get you out the door as well. Anaridis Rodriguez has that.
Good morning, Sam. Good morning to you at home. We begin with an update on a breaking news story we first told you about last hour. A school bus ends up on its side in a ditch after a traffic accident in Indianapolis this morning. You're looking at the images there. The Franklin Township School District says the driver and 2 students got checked out at a hospital. As a precaution, 9 students were on that bus. In the Northeast, the jury begins deliberations today in the Boston Marathon bombing trial. Johar Tsarnaev faces 17 counts that could get him the death penalty. In health news, medical researchers crunched stats on 11 diet programs that went through clinical trials, and they conclude dieters on Jenny Craig lost the most weight in 1 year. Weight Watchers came in second. And listen to this, a new law takes effect in Massachusetts today. Car lights front and rear must be on anytime wipers are in use. Also, anytime the driver cannot see beyond 500 feet, and a half hour after sunset until a half hour before sunrise. Failure to comply, that's going to cost you $5. That's a large coffee and a bagel for Cantore at Dunkin'.
All right, sure is. Hey, A-Rod, we need to get right to Jim, speaking of it, because we got a brand new watch out right now. I'm looking at severe thunderstorm warnings and watches out both. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, it's what we were watching in St. Louis. This is lead supercell here, a little elevated, but it's got enough to produce some golf ball size hail. And we're watching it that's going to make its way through the St. Louis metro area and then south through Illinois. We also have, not shown here, a flood threat that is developing across northern Kentucky and southern Illinois and Indiana. So keep an eye on that. But let's take a look at this storm as it's making its way towards St. Louis. There you can see the lead warning associated with the storm. Excuse me. We're going to see it turn to the right, and that's why that watch goes to the right. Look at this little lead storm that's popped up out ahead of that. So what's happening is the atmosphere is feeling the warm air coming south ahead of this big storm, and all it's doing is creating another one that's out there in the boundary. So wild times, we could see a lead storm developing here and come in and affect St. Louis within the next hour or so. So guys, keep an eye out. Here's St. Louis, 946, University City at 933. Now remember, that's with the western supercell, or that's been the main storm back in through here. But this lead storm could be something else, this newly developed storm to the west of Arnold. That could come in and make things a little bit of a game changer, certainly, for St. Louis as it develops. You know, the other thing too, Sam, if you look at that, it's just training back there. So we've got a flood threat there, and look at the eastern extent of that boundary. You see where it comes over here across southern Illinois, coming right into Louisville. More heavy rain. Look for flash flood warnings in the Louisville area as well. The Heart are getting hit even harder here. We'll keep an eye on this and also outline the first of 3 days of severe weather coming up tomorrow.
42 minutes after the hour, and as the sun moves across the country, so do we right here on AMHQ. So let's check out the west. Now, we've been keeping you up to date on the drought in that area, and we've been very, very excited to see some moisture move into the state, and we've been talking all morning long and even showing you the pictures of the snow that's already started in some of those areas. Let's check in with Crystal Egger this morning. Crystal, I know you've been getting the folks on the West Coast ready for this.
Yes.
Whatever little bit of rain may work its way to the south, but let's talk about the benefits.
Yeah, you know, they get more to the north, but it's all good for all of us, right? And just hope that it still rains in California. So we're excited to see this late winter storm coming in for sure. The showers are heaviest around the Bay Area up through the Sacramento Valley. As Sam said, it's already starting to snow over the Sierra Nevada mountains. A lot of ski resorts hoping to stay open through May. So I know they're looking forward to this, about a foot of snow or more at some of the highest peaks. The heavy rain also brings with it a thunderstorm threat. We have a lot of cold air aloft, enough instability for at least some small hail and gusty winds, even a slight chance of tornadoes there across the valleys of California, and then the higher elevations getting the snow. So we've got winter storm warnings, which may catch a lot of people by surprise if they're traveling over the higher elevations. Watch out for snow and ice heading through the afternoon. Down in Southern California, less rain. We're looking at 1/4 of an inch or so, but we want to pile it up to the north, so that is just fine. Warning everybody to turn off the sprinklers today, save as much water as they can. Sam, I've met with people over the weekend and saw a lot of posts on Twitter. People want to put their barrels out. They're so excited. They're realizing, you know, just how important this resource is.
Yeah, trap it, collect it. Great advice, Crystal, to make sure the sprinklers aren't on and you're not wasting water as you get water. Crystal, thank you so much. We'll be following you all day long and waiting for your tweets on the amount of snow and the conditions and everything in Northern California, the storms that may light up there, and that little bit of rain that you get as well. Crystal, thank you. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and hopefully we've got a little bit of good news out of that. So from the high peaks of California, a little bit of snow, let's go to the ocean depths. And how about a 6-month mission to look deep into the ocean, and led by the guy who found, what was the ship? The Titanic. That's it. So I always have to think of DiCaprio standing in the front of the ship every time I think of the Titanic. But Dr. Bob Ballard is with us this morning. Hey, Bob, we already checked in on the Nautilus this morning, and everything's looking good. When do you guys start your mission? Let's talk about this. 6 months is a long time.
Yeah, well, right now I'm at the University of Rhode Island Inner Space Center, but in 2 days, the Nautilus heads out to sea. Right now it's in Gulfport, Mississippi. We'll be spending March and April and into May in the Gulf of Mexico, and then we transit the Panama Canal in late May to head into the Pacific Ocean for the first time and head right to the Galapagos Islands. We'll be spending the month of June off Galapagos, exploring the hydrothermal vents that we discovered in 1977, and then up the coast towards California. We'll come into LA and Long Beach and that area, and then up to San Francisco all through the summer, and finally then head up off Canada. And we finish our 6-month season when we return to San Francisco to the Exploratorium in late September.
Bob, that's an exciting trip. But let me also say congratulations and thank you for the work that you guys do, like you're going to the Macondo well oil spill there. And you've done a lot of research. You've stayed up on that area, and you're going to go visit it again. But let's talk a little bit about the what an oil disaster will do to these coral reefs and even the dispersants that have been used to get the oil off the surface so that people don't see this as an untidy spill. So what have you learned about that?
Well, actually, the first leg of our expedition, the one that starts in just a couple of days, we're going to an area where there's natural oil and gas coming out. I think people don't realize how much oil and gas is coming out naturally. And we're looking at that ecosystem, then we're comparing it to the one where the BP oil spill took place. And you're right. We're finding that the dispersants are really the culprit that we have to be concerned about because they're not natural. Oil and gas is natural, but the dispersants are a very harsh chemical. We have a great team from Penn State and Temple and Mississippi State that are studying that, and you'll be able to watch that expedition live in about 2 weeks.
Dr. Bob Ballard, we will be there every step of the way. I hope we get to talk to you. It's not too much for me to talk to you every morning, sir. So safe voyage to the crew, and thank you. Let us know when you've got some cool stuff that you want us to pop on, and we'll just join you live. Hey, other cool pictures you've got to see this. Bob, thank you so much. Other cool pictures that you got to see. It's a massive thunderstorm off the northern Australia coast. And if you're like us here at the Weather Channel, you could put this on a loop on the biggest screen in your home and watch it over and over all day long.
All right, so tell them to put that thunderstorm in my screen right
there. It is, Jim.
Hey, Jim, it's in there.
They brought it up for you.
Hey, Jim, it's already in there. We can hear you.
And a gorgeous display. Look at that. It's setting up in Darwin, Australia. That's in the Northern Territory. Jim, I know you were geeking out over this earlier, showing the thunderstorms in the development stage.
Because it's every stage. It's every stage. And Jim, when it starts off the loop with those first big bolts of lightning, right after the dark frame,
right there.
That's where it starts.
Yeah, right there. So think about that. You got all this warm, moist air rising up through the freezing layer. All these ice crystals banging together. Charge is building all over the place. Then you can see the anvil spread out on the top, and then as the storm collapses, here comes the gust front, here comes the shelf cloud, and behind that will be your rain, which you can kind of see illuminated by the lightning in the back. So just an awesome, awesome display of the atmosphere in motion. That's probably what, guys, 45 minutes to an hour?
I'm not sure.
On that, you know what? I don't even know how long that time lapse was, but in general, I'd say you're probably right.
You know, and this is the rainy season for parts of Australia and Darwin. After that, they go dry, and they're actually the lightning capital of Australia, just ahead of Perth. Yeah, just ahead of Perth.
Okay.
Nice job, Jen.
Nice job.
Well, this is why I have my job.
Oh, sick.
The gym
here it
is better.
All right, here it is behind me here.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
So again, Sam, here we go. We can kind of draw on this a little bit. This comes in, air motion comes up. Some of this comes out. There's your anvil, all right? Storm starts to collapse. Here's this shelf cloud kind of on the leading edge of all this, just rolling out at you.
And Jim, because the lightning keeps that illuminated, you can see the cloud tops, you can see it all happening.
Oh, even maybe a couple cap clouds right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got so much rising air motion, it actually creates another little cloud on top of the main updraft, which is just awesome.
That's what happens. Monsoon
like we said, we can sit here. We can spend the whole segment on that.
We really could.
All right, let's get into this, though, because St. Louis now under a watch and probably a warning as well. This is the lead storm that we're watching make its way on through. As it does have a hail threat with it. We've had hail as big as golf balls with this as it's worked its way to the east. Now, the storm cycled. It weakened a little bit as it moved its way to the south of Warrenton, but it's starting to come back up again. That may be bad timing for St. Louis. But there you are, St. Louis, at 9:57. You've got a chance at dealing with that storm. We got a live camera out of St. Louis. Let's take a look at it. You take a look at the arch in through here. Not much yet, but it's on the way. It is on the way in terms of what we got for you. All right, let's go back and talk a little bit about what we've got after that. We've got that one lead supercell in through here coming off to the east. It's going to ride down a warm front. All right, and what we're going to watch is that storm pretty much move right through this area. That's why the watch goes out until 2 o'clock as that lead supercell with its hail threat drops its way to the east. Now, there'll be a dry line that comes out of Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas this afternoon. As it does, if storms can break the cap here, In other words, if they can pop the lid off the atmosphere, then we will get explosive development out through here, mainly a large hail threat from the way that the wind shear looks today, which isn't deep. The layer of warm air, a few thousand feet, you ask what's a cap? It's a lid on the atmosphere. And if you put a pot of boiling water on the stove and with a lid on it, it boils and boils, and eventually once that boiling point is reached, you see the lid kind of popping around, and you kind of pop the lid off the cap. And when we can do that in the atmosphere, you can get explosive development. Sometimes that lid never comes off, and it stays all day, and we don't wind up with anything. Let's take a look at what the model does. Here's the action this morning that we see. That's how it initializes. Not bad, not bad. Here's our low, here's our warm front dropping through here. Dry line will come driving out this afternoon across Oklahoma into Texas. And sure enough, if we can pop that lid, couple cap breakers maybe along the warm front and through here, but back in western Oklahoma, the models don't show much, Sam, in terms of breaking that cap back and through here. So we may have to take till tomorrow, because remember, as that trough is coming in out west, it's actually creating a stronger lid in the central U.S. So it's actually increasing the cap strength today. Tomorrow, once that cap breaks because of the upper trough, we're going to have explosive development. So look what happens tomorrow. Boom, storms west of Kansas City, down through Oklahoma City, over to St. Louis again. There's Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and then all this stuff just travels off toward the east. And then we'll start to focus on the upper Midwest and possibly even Chicago as we head into Thursday. Torcon's right now at 4. Busy 3 days coming up, big guy.
Yep.
Back to you.
Yep, busy day to check in today, but even more so tomorrow. And Jen and Bonnie will continue throughout the day, or certainly later this morning. Images coming in.
Let's leave you with some of the pictures that we've been getting. Stormy skies across the Central Plains. This coming out of Kansas.
Yep.
The caption reads, "It's a Kansas thing, you know. That's how we do."
Hey, the trees are leafing already pretty strongly.
This is Troy, Alabama. A lot of fog there this morning. You have a dense fog advisory until 9 a.m. Central Time.
Careful,
Visibility down to less than 2 miles.
Yep. Atlanta also dealing with some fog too, causing delays at the airport.
At least you're not seeing snow.
That's right. And all this you can pick up this morning right here on your Weather Channel. Have an amazing day.
Take care.